I've seen the video I'm about to show you many times, and it still sends chills down my spine. It's raw. It's real. It's the story mainstream media buries. On that beach, ordinary Puerto Ricans didn't scream for ICE. They didn't demand arrests. They shouted something else. Run! Hide! Sit with us so they won't catch you. This, right here, is the human face of solidarity. That same day, just a few miles away, something darker happened. A man, a tourist from Texas, tackled an immigrant to the ground and handed him to agents. One act of betrayal, surrounded by countless acts of compassion. These videos aren't new. They're from 4 years ago, but we're showing them today because they reveal something timeless. Puerto Rico is not anti-immigrant. This island knows what it means to struggle, to fight, to survive, and it refuses to turn its back on those fleeing for their lives. That's why you'll never hear politicians here campaigning on being tough on immigration. Quite the opposite. They campaign on defending immigrants, protecting families, and keeping communities safe. Because Puerto Rico doesn't control its own immigration policy. Washington does. And since Donald Trump took office, immigrants here say they've been targeted like never before. ICE raids, DHS directives, families hiding in the shadows. She tells us she's gone into hiding because of the raids. She can't even take her baby to a doctor's appointment without fear of ICE waiting outside. Most of Puerto Rico's immigrants are Dominicans, and the ties between the two islands run deep, hundreds of years deep. Before colonization, researchers found bones of indigenous people in what's now the Dominican Republic, DNA cousins of those in Puerto Rico. The Caribbean wasn't divided by walls or laws. It was connected. The sea was their highway. Then came Spain. Then came colonization. The Dominican Republic broke free. Puerto Rico was shackled again, this time to the United States. Today, Dominicans still risk their lives to reach Puerto Rico. They pack into makeshift boats called yolas, braving the deadly Mona Passage in the dead of night. Some don't survive. Others wash up on Mona, an uninhabited island trapped between hope and despair. We spoke with Carolina. She made that journey. She survived, but she says she never wants to live it again. Law enforcement detained her, shipped her to Miami, and granted temporary parole. That parole expired. Now, she's hiding. A mother with a 6-month-old baby, praying ICE doesn't knock on her door. This isn't just policy. This is humanity on the line. Families, DNA cousins, bound by history and blood, divided by borders they never asked for. Since Donald Trump took office, Puerto Rico's immigrant communities have been living under siege. Raids in neighborhoods, businesses targeted, families hunted. She tells us she hasn't left home in weeks. Not for groceries, not for the doctor, not even for her baby's checkups. Because ICE has been spotted at the corner store. Her story echoes across the island. 2 of her friends, young men in their 20s, arrested while shopping, pulled off the street, disappeared into detention. Here's why. The Department of Homeland Security issued a new directive under Trump. Immigration officers can revoke parole at any moment. No trial, no appeal, just one knock on the door, and you're gone. That's the message. We're getting the bad ones out. But ICE's own numbers tell a different story. Trump deported an average of 660 people per day. Biden? Over 740. That's right. Biden deported more. Trump's numbers are lower than he promised. But here's the trick. Trump shut down border crossings with tough rhetoric, scaring many from even trying. Biden's numbers surged because crossings surged. Trump's strategy? Fear. Biden's? Volume. And that's the dilemma Trump faces. Border crossings are at historic lows. He got what he wanted, fewer arrivals. But fewer arrivals means fewer deportations to brag about. And when ICE does arrest, the detention centers are already full. Courts are overwhelmed, millions of cases backlogged. Most immigrants have legal rights to hearings. That slows everything down. Trump's promise of millions and millions deported? Mathematically impossible. He promised to return millions of criminal aliens. But here's the truth. Out of 11 million undocumented immigrants, only about 650,000 have criminal convictions or pending charges. And most of those? Minor traffic violations. Half of everyone in detention has no criminal record at all. So who is ICE actually targeting in Puerto Rico? Ordinary workers, Dominican families, people trying to earn a living. Since Trump took office, ICE arrested more than 300 people here, only 51 for criminal violations. That means 85% of arrests were administrative, civil violations, not crimes. Her husband was taken during a raid at his job. No charges, no record, just gone. Puerto Rico's governor, Jennifer Gonzalez, walks a fine line. She's a Republican, a Trump supporter. But she's also spoken about the Dominican community's contribution to Puerto Rican culture. Before Trump's election, she told Dominicans not to worry. After the raids, she said Puerto Rico had to comply because federal funding was on the line. She reassured the public that Trump's raids would target criminals, but the data shows otherwise. The reality? Families, workers, parents. And in the face of this crackdown, resistance has grown. Churches are feeding immigrants too scared to shop. Pastors are defying ICE. Pastor Garcia says her church is a sanctuary. She's willing to lock the doors, block ICE agents, and defend her community with faith and with fire. ICE raids don't just tear families apart. They gut entire neighborhoods. In communities like Barrio Obrero, known as the neighborhood of workers, storefronts sit empty because immigrants are too afraid to show up. Fear is the new weapon of mass deportation. He tells us business is collapsing, not because people don't want to work, but because they're hunted at work. Trump promised millions, but the math doesn't add up. Even if ICE deported 660 people every single day for 4 years, the total wouldn't break 1 million. That's less than a tenth of the estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants in the United States. The campaign promise was never achievable. It was political theater, built on fear. And yet, the spectacle worked. Fear worked. Whole communities silenced. Parents hiding. Children growing up with trauma. And while Trump bragged about targeting the worst of the worst, ICE's own statistics revealed the opposite. More than half of those detained had no criminal record. Out of 11 million undocumented immigrants, only 650,000 had convictions or pending charges. And many of those? Minor infractions, traffic tickets, paperwork errors. She says her husband was taken for a traffic violation, a ticket. Now, he's in detention and she's left to raise their kids alone. But Puerto Rico refuses to bow down quietly. Resistance lives here. Pastor Nila Maro Garcia declared her church a sanctuary. She told us she will lock the doors, block ICE, and defend her congregation with faith stronger than fear. She's not alone. Across the island, churches and schools are stepping in. Communities are standing up. Puerto Ricans are reminding America that dignity is not illegal. This isn't just about Puerto Rico. This is about the soul of America. Do we stand with families, or do we let fear win? Trump's deportation machine may claim it's targeting criminals, but the truth is on your screen. Mothers, fathers, workers, children, human beings. And Puerto Rico is showing us how to resist. Because history will remember. And when it does, the question will be, did you stand silent? Or did you stand with the people?